The horrors unfolding in West Asia continue to make headlines. It's nearing a month since the war broke out between the Hamas militants and Israel. But as Israel continues its crackdown on the militant group through air and ground assaults, Jordan's King Abdullah said in a post on X that at midnight, Jordan's Air Force personnel airdropped urgent medical aid to the Jordanian Field Hospital in Gaza. The heads of 11 United Nations agencies and 6 humanitarian organizations have jointly appealed for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza, the protection of civilians and the swift delivery of food, water, medicine and fuel to the region. The call for ceasefire comes at a time when Israel continues to pound Gaza with significant strikes. According to the country's defense forces, its troops have encircled Gaza city, cutting the region in two, north and south.
היום, כוחות צה"ל, בהובלת סיירת גולני, כיתרו את העיר עזה. הם הגיעו עד לחוף הים, בחלק הדרומי של העיר עזה, והם כיתרו את העיר עזה, ובעצם היום יש עזה צפון ועזה דרום.
The Israeli army also said that its forces had struck over 2,500 terror targets since the ground troops entered the Palestinian territory last month. Moreover, few of the Hamas militants have been arrested by the Israeli army. The Israeli army has also said that it has opened a humanitarian corridor to allow civilians in northern Gaza to evacuate to the south.
أنا موجود في شارع صلاح الدين جنوب حي الزيتون. إحنا اليوم فتحنا شارع صلاح الدين كممر إنساني لمواطنين شمال القطاع. أنا بطلب كمان مرة لكل مواطنين شمال القطاع ومدينة غزة انزلوا جنوب وادي غزة. شمال القطاع ومدينة غزة هي منطقة حرب، منطقة خطيرة جدا. حماس المجرم الإرهابي بيستغلكم قدروا بشرية. انزلوا جنوب قطاع، انزلوا جنوب وادي غزة. احنا بنعطي السماح لإدخال المساعدات الإنسانية لجنوب وادي غزة.
While Israel continues to make advances through its ground assaults, Gaza was struck by fresh explosions on Sunday. The blasts and flares were seen in Gaza from southern Israel. Shortly before the strikes, internet and telephone lines were cut, and the strikes continued overnight. According to health officials in Hamas-controlled Gaza, more than 9,700 people have been killed in the region, including 4,800 children. Meanwhile, in Tel Aviv, several rockets were flying directly over the city. The rockets were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. While in south of Lebanon, 4 civilians, 3 of them children, were killed by an Israeli airstrike on Sunday evening, raising the likelihood of a dangerous new escalation in the conflict on the Lebanon-Israel border.
العملية اليوم اللي صارت هي عملية إجرامية، عملية إرهابية. 3 أطفال أنا شفتهم، أنا حملتهم بإيدي. 3 أطفال احترقوا بالسيارة وما في حدا ينقذهم، وأمهم أنا شلتها وهي عم بتصرخ وتقول أولادي. وين هو؟ وين هن الإرهابية؟ أنتوا الإرهابية يا إسرائيلية، وأنتوا الإرهابية يلي عم يدعموكم، وأمريكا هي رأس الإرهاب وهي أم الإرهاب.
Amid spiraling tensions over Israel's war with Hamas, America's top diplomat is on a Middle East tour focused on humanitarian aid for Palestinians. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made an unannounced visit to the occupied West Bank. He met with the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas. The Palestinian leader told Blinken that there must be an immediate ceasefire and humanitarian aid allowed to enter the Gaza Strip. Subsequently, the U.S. Secretary of State then made a surprise stop in Iraq. Blinken met Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammad Shia al-Sudani to discuss the Israel-Hamas war, while also the attacks on American troops by Iranian allied militias in Iraq. But when Blinken was in Iraq, Iraqis took the streets in Baghdad to protest against his arrival.
الموقف العراقي اليوم انكسر تماما باستقبال رئيس وزراء حكومة الإطار التنسيقي لوزير خارجية أمريكا. الإصبع الذي رفع في القمة العربية اليوم تم كسره وتم إهانته وتم إذلاله باستقباله ومصافحته. يد وزير خارجية يتحكم بإبادة الشعب العربي الفلسطيني.
Hours after an unannounced stop in Iraq, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Turkey in the early hours of Monday to hold a key diplomatic meeting. Turkey happens to be his last stop in the region before heading to Asia. Moreover, Blinken, who has been urged by West Asian leaders to persuade Israel to agree to a ceasefire, Israel has rejected growing calls for a ceasefire in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu demanded that all of more than 240 hostages captured by Hamas militants should be released.
Today marks 30 days of holding of a 9-month-old baby hostage, Kfir Bivas. My young boy just turned a year a couple of days ago. We're going to defeat Hamas. We're going to free our hostages, 240. Some of them are from all over around the world. We're going to free our hostages. It's a top priority.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared to backtrack on a comment that he had made earlier. The comment was about the need to check if a pre-war protest among army reservists pushed Hamas militants to carry out its attack last month. But after public backlash, the Israeli Prime Minister posted on X, and I'm quoting here, "Hamas started a war because it wants to kill us all and not because of any argument within us." WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.